I the a-hole for choosing to live in a city which will make it nearly impossible for my ex to see his child? I, 28 female, got divorced from my ex-husband John, 38 male, of 6 years in June this year. In 2019, I was diagnosed with PCOS and after multiple treatments and many complications, was told that I probably wouldn't be able to have a child naturally. We'd been trying for a baby for 3 years, and as expected, this devastated us. Our marriage suffered because while I eventually made my peace with the situation, John couldn't seem to get past it. I suggested fostering and adoption, but his heart wasn't in it anymore. After months of hostility, zero intimacy, and withdrawn affection, we asked for couples therapy. He responded that he'd rather have a divorce. He said he'd been checked out for a while and there was no point dragging things out. I was heartbroken, and it didn't help that I was stuck living with him throughout the lockdown. I eventually accepted the end of our marriage, and as we went through the divorce process, I prepared for the move back to my hometown across the country. Shortly before I moved out, we slept together. I know. It was an impulsive mistake, fueled by alcohol and loneliness, and he made sure I knew it meant nothing. Anyway, I eventually moved back and it's been wonderful. I'd forgotten how much I love being near my family and friends. I was slowly adjusting to single life when I found out that I am pregnant. Yep, I know, right? What are the chances? I told John about the pregnancy and he was over the moon. But for some reason, he assumed that I would be moving back to live with him. When I told him that I have no intention of moving back, but rather raising our child in my hometown, he lost his mind and accused me of trying to keep our child from him out of spite. I told him that he could move if he wanted to be closer to his child, but he insisted that he wouldn't be able to find work out here, that it made more sense for me to move back because I've only been at my new job a few weeks, and it wouldn't be as much of a sacrifice as leaving the job that he's had for 11 years. He offered to pay for the move, a new apartment, etc., but I turned it down and explained that if I stay, I'll be able to keep working because my family's here to support me. And that mom and sisters have already been such a big help with finding a place to stay, preparing for baby, seasoned mom advice, moral and emotional support, and so I feel more confident having them around. If I moved back, I would essentially have to be a stay-at-home mom, which I really don't want. He told his family about the baby without warning me, and now I'm being bombarded with criticism from every direction and being threatened with legal action for alienating them from baby. I don't see why I should be the one to compromise after having to up and move my whole life the way I did. Now for the top comments. Not stay home. John is only interested in you as a broodmare. Get a lawyer and get a custody agreement in writing and get child support. Do not do anything that would make you dependent on John. Yeah, the scariest part of the offer is that he wants Opie to be dependent on him. That just flat out isn't safe for Opie given how he's behaved, and his complete disinterest in Opie's well-being. And if it's not in her best interest, then it's not in the kid's either. Frankly, I don't think the kid would benefit from having this guy take on a more active parenting role regardless. Someone who treats a spouse like a broodmare is also going to treat their kid like some other kind of object. A trophy, a cudgel against Opie. Nothing good. So let's get this straight. When he couldn't get what he wanted, he straight up tossed Opie to the curb because he checked out of their marriage. So she had to append her entire life. And now that she's pregnant, he expects her to do it again to make his life more convenient? Opie, do what's best for you and your baby, which should include getting a lawyer to sort out custody and child support as someone else mentioned. Also, congrats. NTA. Oh my word. The unmitigated gall of this guy is insane. Tell him to find a different surrogate and to leave you alone. He tossed you aside when you didn't get pregnant and now wants you to sacrifice everything to be his new nanny to your own child. Of course, his family's behaving like this. They're the ones that helped create that monster. I'm just so glad you were back home with your loving and supporting family just in time. Congratulations on your baby and happy holidays with true family. If his family is getting aggressive with you, block them. He ended a relationship. Sounds like he honestly doesn't even want a relationship. Just a baby. Red flag for that. You moved, you started a new life. You can move or not. He made the choice to not be in a relationship with you. He can be the one to move. Next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for calling my brother-in-law out for his weaponized incompetence and calling him pathetic at dinner? I, female 24, have a sister, female 32, who has a husband, male 38, who is the poster child of weaponized incompetence. They have 4 kids, Female 10, male 8, male 5, female 3, and she's pregnant. My sister works a full-time job, 40 plus hours a week, cleans her entire house, cooks, takes care of all her children, without him doing anything. It is seriously mind-blowing that she wakes up like 4 a.m., cooks breakfast, does chores, gets all of her kids ready for school, takes them all to school and daycare, and all he does is stay home and work. And when his kids get home, after my sister picks them up of course, he will play with them for a little and play video games until he falls asleep. And she actually makes more than him. My fiancé, male 26, and I had to stay with them for 6 weeks while our home was being renovated. And since we both work from home, we helped her, and it is amazing how much happier she is when she has help. I helped with the kids, and my fiancé even drove her to doctor's appointments. Her husband literally only acknowledges he is a parent when his family's around. Then he is a God-fearing, hard-working father of 5. He's the one that wanted more kids. She wanted to stop after her last baby, but he needed more boys. I am seriously concerned, not only for her, but her kids as well. Because now her oldest is seeing what's happening and trying to help. But my sister is prideful and refuses to let her child do anything. Me and this man have never gotten along. He's been acting like this since their 8-year-old was born. I've tried talking to her about leaving, but she doesn't want her kids to grow up in a broken home. And unfortunately, her experience with our parents' divorce was completely different than mine, so she doesn't understand that a divorce would benefit her kids here because she thinks they need their mom and dad together. Cut to this past weekend, her and her husband threw a pre-Thanksgiving potluck, where our entire family plus his was there. I stayed with my sister a few days before because I knew he wouldn't help. So, we're at dinner all talking, and I mentioned we are trying for a baby, and my brother-in-law makes an offhanded comment to him about how hard fatherhood is. I snapped and said, like you would know. He looked taken aback and asked me what I meant, and I unloaded on him, calling him a pathetic excuse for a man who makes my 8 months pregnant sister do everything for their family. I went off for a solid 10 minutes, and he sat there shrinking in a seat. I left. Last night, my sister called me and thanked me for standing up for her, and told me she appreciated me. Although today I got a very nasty text from him telling me I'm a terrible person, and that because I lied in front of his family, his mom is angry at him and is moving in with them to help her out, and that I've made him the laughingstock of his family. He certainly thinks so, but am I the a-hole for doing this? His mom is angry at him and is moving in with them to help her out, and it all becomes clear. Not the a-hole. Behind every incompetent man is a mother who did everything for him. Lol. Someone is just pissy because he is being forced to put on his big boy undies. While your timing was not the greatest, he needed to hear it. Besides, isn't Thanksgiving the time of year we all have big blowouts with a crazy family member? Not only did you speak the truth to a guy with learned helplessness, you also seem to have gotten some positive help for your sister. Seriously, if he's that bad, he deserves to be a laughingstock. Maybe that will bring some more positive change, whether it's his finally helping or your sister leaving him. Not even a justified a-hole as some comments suggest. You had a breaking point and he was taking credit for the children's upbringing that your sister single-handedly should be thanked for. He knows he isn't wrong, which is why he sat quietly and kept pretending in front of his family. He would have driven your sister into an early grave. His true colors are bound to come out sooner or later when his mother has moved in. He will not be able to pull the facade forever. When that happens, he will either have to change properly or risk losing the support of his family. All of it started with you speaking up for your sister against his lies. Well done. Next story. Am I the a-hole for forcing my brother and his girlfriend to terminate? So I'm a 24-year-old who moved out of their parents' place a couple years back. My parents are terrible people and were very cruel to me and my brother growing up. I very much enjoyed the space to myself, and it has been the only time in my life I've truly felt safe. My twin brother, Zach, didn't move out and was also pretty miserable living with my parents. Then about 8 months ago, he asked if he and his girlfriend, Kat, could stay with me for a while, as he started school a couple years after me and isn't financially in a place where he can afford his own place. Knowing how awful my parents are, and how much of a good guy and gal Zach and Kat are, it really wasn't much of a decision. I just told them to chip in when they can, and as long as I'm not paying for their food or anything like that, it's chill for the time being. Things have been fine, and Zach and Kat have been nothing but respectful to me and my place. The place is on the smaller side, but Zach is usually at school or work, and Kat works a good amount of the time, so I'm not usually super bothered by it. Their plan is to move out once Zach graduates, which will probably be 2023 at the rate is going. So I'd most likely be living with them another year and a half to 2 years. Now that wasn't much of an issue to me as they don't really have anywhere to go, and I totally get not wanting to move back in with our parents. The thing is though, about a week back they revealed to me they were pregnant. While I think it's awesome, and I'm excited for them, this severely throws a wrench into our living arrangement. I really can't deal with a baby living with us for the extended future. I'm someone who's very sensitive to noises and suffers insomnia. So a crying baby would literally make my life hell on earth. When I asked them what they were planning on doing, they said they were going to keep it as Kat doesn't believe in abortion. And they feel as if they'd make good parents. They definitely would. They're great people. I said, oh well, congrats then. We ended a conversation there for that night. The next day, I asked them what their plans were for housing in the near future, as they know about my sleeping condition and how I'd feel with a baby/toddler in the house. They said they'd have to stay here as they didn't really have anywhere else to go. I told them that won't be happening for reasons stated earlier. They both got very upset and accused me of forcing them to terminate their baby. Now for the comments. Not stay home. That's their problem. You've stated your boundaries clearly, and if that doesn't match up with their beliefs, then they can find another way to manage. You didn't sign up to living with your kid. I'm super confused as to how they both work, one of them full-time, but can't rent a place themselves. Opie's posts make it seem like they don't have any other option, but surely they should be able to afford to rent even a studio apartment on 1.5 incomes. 1.5 incomes who haven't had to pay for real rent for the past few months, that should at least have gotten their deposit and first/last month covered. If it's so dire that they're not even covering their should-be expenses, full rent, utilities, food and wear and tear and stuff, they're not in a place to have a kid. You aren't forcing them to do anything. They can have their baby. They just can't do it while living with you. If their family planning is based on being able to live with you rent-free for the foreseeable future, then they can't afford to have a baby. You agreed to house them rent-free for over 2 years, which was incredibly generous, but this is a boundary for you, and they need to accept that and stop blaming you for their financial situation. Living with a baby is a lot, especially if the baby isn't yours. You have done nothing wrong here. They just can't do it while living with you. For free. You did not force them to copulate. You did not force them to not use birth control. You're not forcing them to have a termination. This is 100% the result of their actions and decisions, and it's on them to deal with the consequences. If they need housing suitable for a pregnant woman and later a baby, that's what they need. And it's not a thing you offered or even can offer to them. If Zach wants to be a dad, he needs to earn enough money to be a dad to support his partner and child. If Kat wants to be a mom, she needs someone who'll provide shelter and food and everything else she and the baby will need, at the very least for however long she'll be off work having and raising the baby. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for telling my wife she should be thankful my daughter only called the cops and didn't press charges on her? I've been with my wife for 4 years. I have a 20-year-old daughter and she and my wife were never able to form a strong bond, and one of the reasons for that is distance. My wife did try to get close to my daughter in the past, but my daughter claimed she was just attempting to control her, rather than have a respectful relationship with her. They had past issues, but now get along a bit. My daughter was visiting for Thanksgiving and brought her Honda car with her. I was out of the house when my wife, whose car been sitting in the garage for a month now, took my daughter's car keys without her permission while she was showering and left in it for nearly 2 hours. My daughter called me as soon as she got out of the bathroom and was freaking out, saying neither her car or my wife was there. I tried to calm her down as I tried to get a hold of my wife, but she did not respond. We at this point figured my wife took the car, but did not know where she was or when she was coming back. My daughter searched my wife's closet, then called the cops and reported her car taken. She called back to tell me my wife's closet was half empty, and cops were called. I got off work and went home immediately, and on the way home my wife called crying because she just picked up by the cops at Walmart and was brought into the station. I went over there and met my daughter there. We discussed what happened, and it turned out my wife took the car to go do some shopping and left my daughter a note in the kitchen to let her know since she doesn't have her number, and took clothes from her closet she packed earlier in the morning for church donations. But my daughter thought she ran away and told the cops that this woman, my wife, ran away with her car. My daughter got her car back, and my wife was let go after filling out a form. I took her home, and that is where she had a fight with my daughter, calling her crazy for calling the cops on her and few other things I can't remember. But I told my wife what she did was unacceptable, and she should be grateful my daughter only called the cops in a moment of panic and did not press charges after what she did. My wife was shocked and started crying, saying she couldn't believe I sided with my daughter after she humiliated her and caused her panic and to be involved with the cops like that. I stated that she should have not touched that key in the first place, and she defended herself, saying she was getting things done and buying stuff we needed for the house, but we made her out to be the bad guy. She left her sister's place, saying she had enough of my daughter's disgraceful and vindictive attitude towards her, and said she'll stay there indefinitely or until I get my priorities straight. Because after what happened, she's no longer sure if she is my wife or whether she was treated as such. Edit. My wife's car isn't working and has been in the garage for a while now. That is why she took my daughter's car. Not today home. Gotta be honest, my first thought is your wife might have tried to arrange a situation for you to get mad at your daughter and make her stay away even more. Now she's just upset it backfired. Did you actually find a note in the kitchen? Seems pretty much like that. She didn't ask for permission before using the car, did not call or send a text because she doesn't have her number, which explains how close they are and why she shouldn't be taking someone's car whom she doesn't even have a contact info of, and then leaving a note in the kitchen. Could have attended her husband's call or sent him a text that she was taking the car. Looks like she got herself into the trap that she set. Not having stepdaughter's number also shows how little she cares about the father/daughter relationship. What if something happened to dad? How could she contact daughter? What if she wanted to plan a birthday thing for husband? Like, how do you not want the number of your spouse's children just in case? Am I the a-hole for kicking my husband out after he made a tantrum because my son refuses to call him dad? My husband, Josh 30, and I 32 female, have been married for over a year and dated for 5. I have a son, Sam, 12, from a previous relationship. My ex and I are nowhere near friends, but he's an amazing father towards our kid in every possible way. My kid adores his father and they look pretty much alike. Josh and I have been trying to get pregnant for 2 years without success because he has a low count. We've tried everything, but right now we can only hope that it happens naturally since we can't afford more treatments. I guess that out of sadness, Josh has been around Sam a bit more, trying to get him to do things together and spend some time. Sam loves him, but he sees my husband as an authority or uncle figure and not like a dad. Now, Josh has been trying to get Sam to call him dad or father since we began to try to have a baby because he doesn't want my son to feel left out. But Sam has refused every single time and continues to call him Josh. And it's okay. I had a talk with my husband about how Sam just prefers his name and that it's nothing personal. And after a few more times, Josh desisted. But right now, my husband has begun to try again, and Sam continues to refuse, saying that he already has a daddy, and that he doesn't like the pressure Josh puts on him. I've tried to talk to my husband again, but every time he just says that it's not fair my ex gets all the credit while he's been a father figure for my kid half of his life. I told him that we cannot force Sam to call him something he doesn't want to, and that not being called dad doesn't make him less than my ex. I thought that was it. But yesterday while we were having dinner, Sam told my husband, "Josh, look at this." And my husband totally snapped. He grounded my son and took a switch, saying that unless he starts to call him dad, he won't get it back. Sam was almost crying, and I told him that none of that was going to happen because we won't force him to do something he doesn't want to. My husband began to throw a tantrum about how it's not fair, how Sam's looks so much like my ex that it's always a reminder that he deserves more respect. I told him to get out of the house until his mind is clear and doesn't feel that fighting a kid is right. I get that Josh feels desperate and hurt, but I don't think that making Sam call him dad is the right move. However, I could be wrong. I know that my ex won't have any problem sharing the title, and I'm afraid I might be the a-hole for not taking Josh's feelings into consideration. Now for the top comments. Not today, home. You're standing up for your son and what he's comfortable with. Your husband has absolutely no right to force this, or gets mad when your son doesn't like it. Your husband is the a-hole, all the way. Protect your son. Husband needs therapy to deal with the struggles he's facing. Wanting to be a father doesn't give you the right to bully and force a child into calling you dad. This. AITA is full of stories about childless step-parents who try to force their step-kids to treat them like full parents, and ended up not only alienating the kids from themselves, but also from the bio-parent they're married to. You need to have a serious talk with Josh and insist on therapy for him, with maybe a family component, so that he can hear Sam's feelings on the matter in a situation that will allow him to really hear them. Not stay home. Yep. My dad forced us to refer to my stepmother as mom as soon as they married. I was 13 at the time, and my bio mother had always been our primary caregiver. Despite the fact that she made no effort to get to know or connect with us, they would both throw tantrums if we didn't celebrate her on Mother's Day, or in any way speak or act as though she was not our bio mom. His reasoning was that she didn't have her own children, so we owed that to her. 3 out of 4 of us are completely no contact as adults. You cannot force children to feel a certain way about you. It's just going to drive the kid further away. Not stay home. Put your son first. Your husband is out of line, and being upset with your son for looking like your rags is messed up. Real love doesn't divide or require titles. Your son is never going to feel comfortable with a stepfather acting like this, and you have a duty to protect him. You did exactly what you should have. Now for the next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my brother and sister that I can't support them in what they are doing? The gist of this is, 3 years ago, my siblings and I found out our mom had cheated on our dad for several years of their marriage. We found out at the same time. Then we all took a DNA test, and only I was my dad's bio kid. It destroyed my parents' marriage, and Dad walked away from Mom. My siblings said that at the time he was their dad no matter what, and he said they were his kids no matter what, and never wanted them to feel otherwise. A year ago, they decided they wanted to meet their bio fathers. I noticed that at the time that it really stung my dad that they had any interest, though he never said anything or acted differently. Not even to me when I tried to be a shoulder to lean on. Both of my siblings met their bio fathers, and both have built relationships up with these men. Now, my sister has decided she wants both dads to walk her down the aisle. It crushed our dad. He admitted to me afterward that he felt like he wasn't good enough, and he had a mixture of emotions because he never signed up to be one of the dads in the picture. He never wanted to be a co-dad. But now he is because his ex-wife had so many affairs. What makes it worse is these new relationships are getting more time, and he is noticing he sees them less because they are busy working on their bio relationship. My siblings have mentioned wanting to invite these bio fathers to family events and dinners. They want our dad to meet them, and they want a life where both men have the title for each. I told them I can't support this, that this is killing our dad, and I can't stand to see what this is doing to him. They said he's still their dad, but I told them they have essentially cast him aside in favor of these other fathers, and given he's the one who was there their whole lives, they can't expect everyone to be happy and be fine with us. My brother said he doesn't really love them if he doesn't want this for them, and they both called me nay for refusing to support them as their baby sister. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. It's one thing to meet a bio dad, but walking her down the aisle? Some guy had slept with a married woman with kids, and he gets equal billing as the guy who raised her? Your dad has to walk down the aisle with him like he's his gay husband, the dude his wife cheated with, and who kid now picks too. I understand wanting to meet his bio dad, but this is just mean. The kids are allowed to want to build a relationship with their bio dad. That is normal. It seems to me like it is the same as loving your mom and dad, except that they love their dad, and they need to get to know these new dads. We don't know if those men knew that they were sleeping with a married woman, or even if they knew that they had kids until they were contacted. The first dad needs to express his hurt to the kids in a calm manner using I statements. I feel hurt that you spend less time with me, I am left feeling less loved, etc. And the siblings need to reassure their first and main proper dad that they still love him, and reinforce that bond. I don't think that the kids are a-holes though, not from what was said in the original post. Opie's dad isn't saying they can't have those relationships. He's saying it hurts him to be asked to spend time with the man his wife ducked behind his back. And that's fair. That can have 2 fully separate relationships they just won't. I think it's strange that the sister expects the dads to be buddies and walk her down the aisle. The dad clearly doesn't want anything to do with those other men. Not stay home. It's understandable that your siblings want to get to know their bio dad. Of course, this is going to hurt your dad, but you can't blame your siblings for that. But it is ridiculous that your siblings want your dad to have any kind of a relationship with their bio dads. These are the guys that his wife cheated on him with. No a-holes here except the cheating mom who caused all this drama. It's natural for a person, your siblings, to want to know about their biological roots, and if they were able to connect with those people, that's their choice to make. It's natural for your dad to feel hurt at having to share the title of dad with a man who helped his wife cheat on him for kids he raised. I wouldn't blame him if he said no to walking your sister down the aisle alongside her by dad. Again, a man who helped his wife cheat on him. It's natural for you to be indignant on your dad's behalf and want no part of hurting him, and not being able to understand a point of view of your siblings to say they consider your dad their dad, but don't seem to take into consideration how much their actions are hurting him. And you are not obligated to take part in supporting hurting your dad by supporting their choices if you don't want to. Next story. Am I the a-hole for yelling at these two ladies at the park about my brother? So I'm 20. My parents had a surprise pregnancy when I was 16. My little brother is 3 now, and we're close. My dad died last year from COVID in December, and it's been hard on all of us, especially my mom taking care of my little brother. I'm not in school right now, so in the mornings, me and him go to the park. Not a lot of people that early except these two ladies who were there with their kids. They were sitting by the swings, and I had my brother with me playing on the slides. But they kept looking at us. Even when I look at them, they'd keep staring. Then my brother wanted to go to play in the sandbox, which is by the swings. We walk past them, and they literally don't hide that they are looking at us. And then they say to each other, "Are kids still doing this?" And then I heard, "That poor baby." So they thought he was my son, which, yeah, makes sense. But openly talking crap? That got me mad. Normally, I don't do stuff like this. But I want to talk to them with my brother playing in the sand, and I asked them to say that again. Now they looked shocked. They try to act like they don't know what I'm talking about. So I asked the lady, "Are kids still doing what?" "That's my freaking brother." Then she was saying sorry she didn't know that, and thought I was his dad. And I told her no. Our dad died a few months ago, and I like to take him out because obviously my dad can't do that anymore. I was really mad. They said sorry for what they said, but all I told them that next time, don't freaking judge people's lives. It really got me, I don't know why, but didn't like the way they were being. I didn't hear them talking anymore. My mom saw me mad when we came home, so I told her everything. Reason she thinks I'm the a-hole was that I was still rude to these old ladies. It is not their fault that they didn't know. But still, to me it's like, so what if we weren't brothers and it was a dad with his kid? They still shouldn't be saying crap, and they were loud enough that I could hear it. But maybe I'm wrong? I don't know. That's why I'm asking here. Now for the comments. First, I am so sorry for your loss. I'm glad that your little brother have such a good brother to care for him. Also not the a-hole. Those nosy people need to mind their own business. I like to take him out because obviously my dad can't do that anymore. Well said and well deserved. I hope you made them feel bad for being so quick to judge, and that they will think twice next time. And like, so what if he was his kid? Mistakes happen to teenagers all the time. They should have been impressed that he was being such a good father and actively taking part in his kid's life in that case. They just wanted to talk bad, because they were bored judgmental old ladies with nothing better to do with themselves. Kudos to Opie for being such a good big brother and role model to his little brother. Not stay home. Even if you were his dad, that still doesn't justify that disgusting comment. They were being judgmental pricks about something that has nothing to do with them. It doesn't matter that they didn't know or whatever. They assumed you were a single young father and decided to crap on you for that. That, and it off itself, is disgusting, and they deserve to be told off. You're a badass, my dude, and an awesome big brother. You're teaching that kid how to be a badass, upstanding guy too, by doing things like that. It's important that he understands that he doesn't just have to take abuse like that out of fear of being rude. Not stay home. I'm so very sorry for your loss. May your dad's memory bring you comfort. You are also a great big brother. Those women were completely out of line. You could have been watching a sibling, relative, neighbor, or parenting your own child. No matter which, you were doing it right. Those women were rude AF. They may keep their mouths shut next time. They probably won't be less judgy, but they may be polite about it, so you did a good thing for society. I hope so, because that pissed me off so much. Wouldn't even matter if he wasn't my brother but my kid. They still said it out loud, and for like what reason? Last story is titled, Am I the a-hole for telling my girlfriend she cannot leave our 7-month-old child in the bath unsupervised even for 10 seconds? My girlfriend, 30 female, and I, 30 male, have 2 young kids, 2 years and 7 months. My girlfriend is doing a pretty good job with the kids. She always makes sure they have everything they need. She plays with them a lot. She's a caring mom, and she loves her kids more than anything. No doubts about that. The thing is that we've been fighting for a couple of days now about a situation that happened this weekend. She was giving a bath to the youngest in the bathroom while I was in the living room with the oldest. Everything was good, until I turned my head and saw her out the bathroom looking for her cell phone while the youngest was still in the bath. Couldn't stop myself from screaming. "What are you doing? The kid is still in the bath. You go back to the bathroom and look for your cell phone later." From which she replied, "Oh my god, calm down. There's only 1.5 inches of water in the bath. Plus I only took 10 seconds to go and grab my cell phone." She went right back to the bathroom, cell phone in hands, where she finished bath time. Half an hour later, when she came back with a newly cleaned and suited baby in the living room, I told her that she can't do those kinds of things. I told her that I find this highly irresponsible to leave a 7-month-old baby unsupervised in the bath, even if it's only for 10 seconds. That her cell phone could have waited since there were no emergencies. I told her clearly I never want it to happen ever again. She told me I was overreacting, that she was only out of the bathroom for 10 seconds, that there was only 1.5 inches of water in the bath, and that there's nothing wrong about this. The discussion pretty much ended there. The kids were there, and it was clearly not the time and place to have this kind of discussion. Plus, the girlfriend was leaving with the kids for the day to go see her parents. Note, the visit was planned, and her leaving for the day was not related to the fight we just had. Next day, I asked her if she had time to think about what happened. She was super defensive. She told me that I was still overreacting. She deviated the subject and told me how, sometimes, I forgot to close the stair gate, and how that could be very dangerous for the kids. I stopped her there. I told her that forgetting to close the stair gate was also very dangerous, but that it was a mistake I don't want to make again, unlike the bath scene where she would 100% do it again. There's nothing wrong making a mistake if we can admit it and learn from it. Girlfriend told me I had nothing to say in what she does when she takes care of the kids. That I was being paranoid and overprotective. It's been a couple of days now. I'm still mad. She's still mad. I don't feel like going back to her saying, "I'm sorry," to settle this fight and move on. Am I the a-hole here? Not the a-hole. She is 100% wrong on this. Babies can drown in an inch of water very quickly. Have her read an article about it. Especially the part that says you must stay within arm's reach of a child in a bathtub at all times. Yep, not only do hundreds of babies drown this way, thousands of children under 5 are treated for non-fatal incidents from this exact thing. Lack of adult supervision. That was more than enough water for the baby to have drowned. Not the a-hole. Definitely not the a-hole. I'm an ICU registered nurse in pediatrics. I've unfortunately cared for many children who ended up brain dead, and ended up donating their organs after being left alone in the bathtub. If your girlfriend can't or won't commit to not doing this again, then she should not be on bath duty for either of your children. And frankly, I personally would consider how safe I felt leaving them alone with her at all. Not the a-hole. I literally Googled, how shallow can water be for kids to drown? Answer across the board? Less than 2 inches of water. Googled, how fast can a child drown? Less than 30 seconds. She is absolutely 100% wrong, and she knows it. That's why she's being defensive. This is about the safety of your kids. It is the hill you should die on. I don't have any advice on how to talk to her again, but it's super important she gets it into her head. It never leaves your kids unattended in or around water. Period. Am I the a-hole for asking my mother-in-law to leave our wedding even though she paid for it, after she brought my husband's ex as her +1? I, 28 female, met my husband, 27 male, 4 years after we divorced someone who everyone in his family calls the love of his life. It's okay. I don't really care if they think that way because my husband has assured me that it's not the case, and that he'd never consider her the love of his life. He told me that they were pretty toxic, and that the relationship grew so bad that the best for both of them was to let go, even when his first wife Mindy didn't believe it. It was pretty hard for me to get accepted into his family, especially for his mother because she was so in love with Mindy and adored her as her daughter-in-law. They were pretty close, and even got depressed after Mindy moved to another state since she didn't want to be near my husband. Time went by and my mother-in-law and I bonded after the traumatic loss of my father-in-law almost 2 years ago. His passing crushed her horribly, and my husband and I tried to be there for her as much as we could since he's their only child. The joy came back to her life after we had our first son, and mother-in-law found a new push to live thanks to him. And even though we didn't become the perfect family, we're close enough to let mother-in-law know that she'll never be alone again. But when the pandemic began, money became tight for us. And after having our baby, my husband and I decided to prioritize our needs. We used what his father left him and some of our savings to buy a house, and decided to have a small celebration after we were legally married. But my mother-in-law said no. She offered to pay for it since she was proud of my husband for doing what was best for our son. At first we said no, because it didn't feel right. But my mother-in-law convinced us, saying that she didn't want to miss the wedding just as her husband did if we ended up taking too long. We made it small and simple because we didn't want to take advantage of her, and we even let my mother-in-law have her way in some decisions. Then when the big day came, she has Mindy by her side, and my husband and I are confused. My mother-in-law approached us and we asked her what was happening. She said that she had invited her to the wedding because it was a special day. My husband said that yes, it was a special day for us, and that Mindy had no business being there, and would appreciate if she left. My mother-in-law looked at me, but I said that I feel the same way. But my mother-in-law got angry and said that she paid for the wedding and she could invite anyone she wanted. While we both agree, we said that Mindy wasn't really anyone, and that it was the fact that she didn't tell us before, rather than inviting her. Then she said that if Mindy had to go, she'll follow, and my husband said, then do. She ended up saying that she's gonna stay, but that we had to tell Mindy to leave, which my husband gladly did. My mother-in-law spent all the evening mad, and after the wedding, we offered to pay for half of it or even everything if she wanted, but she said that the damage was already done. Now for the top comments. Not day home. I would go no contact with her faster than I could type this comment. Yeah, this just screams narcissistic parenting. This. And I suggest you seriously consider if you want to leave your child alone with her. This, interactions about the wedding, give me a bad feeling that she may try to turn your child against you and can communicate and converse. Be wary. She cannot be trusted. Not day home. The fact that she quickly pointed out that she is the one who paid for the wedding makes me believe that this was her plan all along. She absolutely planned to be sneaky about this, or she would have told them who she was bringing ahead of time. It sounds like Mindy lives out of state now, so this required planning. It was not a spur-of-the-moment decision. Why would Mindy have even wanted to attend the wedding of her ex-husband that she moved out of state to get away from? What the actual hell is wrong with both her and mother-in-law? Not day home, and really weird that the ex would even want to be there. Right? I'm confused why the ex bothered coming. Super weird situation all around. I'm guessing mother-in-law was hoping that the ex would show up and her son would be overwhelmed by his love for her and he would send his fiancée away and still hold a ceremony. But with the ex. The ex was in on it too, obviously. Next story. Am I the a-hole for kicking the best man out of my wedding after he disrespected my fiancé? I've been best friends with Jeff since 7th grade. He spent a lot of time at my house because his parents are very strict and religious. He had a cool laid-back mom, and everyone wanted to hang out at my house. Jeff got close to my mom and pretty much lived there unofficially during high school. My mom hates the woman I'm marrying. It's a work in progress, and I have to make a lot of sacrifices to defend my fiancé. Jeff is aware of all the drama that has been going on, and for the most part doesn't offer his opinion, though he has occasionally told me no relationship is worth losing my mom over. My mom and my fiancé got into a huge fight over my mom's dress for the wedding. That issue actually worked itself out because my mom found out she's pregnant, so she couldn't wear the offending dress anyway. And she's very happy about the baby and doesn't care about fighting with my fiancé anymore. Jeff heard about the dress drama from my mom when he was hanging out with my cousin at a family cookout which I did not attend. Then Jeff sent me a text calling my fiancé a controlling, insecure little girl, and saying I am an idiot if I would lose my mom over some witch. He admits he had been drinking when he sent it, and said he is sorry for calling her a witch, but that his sentiment stands. I did tell my fiancé what he said. I decided I can't have a best man who doesn't support the relationship and who disrespected her. I told Jeff he is still invited, but can't be the best man. He took it all right, but admitted he is worried about our friendship. My mom told me that I'm a horrible friend and becoming a fake person. She said she would never have a best friend she couldn't be honest with, and she wouldn't marry someone who was so sensitive that she had to protect them from words. Our friend group is pretty split 50-50 on this, so I don't know if I overreacted. Not day home. I mean, there is probably a lot more to the story and why your mom and friend don't like your fiancé, but based on the content of your post, your reaction is justified. What was the issue with the dress? Was it white? Just attaching myself to your comment here because I'd love an answer from Opie. Why do I have the feeling that Jeff is your mom's baby daddy? Could it be so? Info. What was the issue with the dress? What are some specific incidents that have come up between your mom and fiancé? Not day home. Your mom sounds nuts. Your fiancé may be a little immature, but definitely not deserving of what your friend said about her. The dress was too sexy. My mom believes in 100% body autonomy 100% of the time and doesn't like clothing very much. Always have to be showing some skin. My fiancé said it was attention stealing and inappropriate for a wedding. The issue started pretty early on. My mom is ice cold and somewhat abrasive and refuses to do normal things like make small talk. My fiancé then insinuated that I must not have gone to Disney as a kid because I had a young single mom. But I grew up well off and we traveled a lot, so my mom didn't like that. Then my mom found out they had the same college degree/major and told my fiancé she wasn't going to make any money. But my fiancé pointed out that my mom makes very good money, but my mom just said she is special and my fiancé doesn't have what it takes. My mom then got a boyfriend and decided she didn't need us and told us how much she hates my fiancé. Then my mom had a surprise wedding without being engaged, and my fiancé thought it was too close to our engagement and called her out. So my mom called her jealous and insecure and said she was mad because her dress cost more than your life. My mom gives a lot of unwanted opinions about what is wrong with our relationship and thinks my fiancé is jealous and controlling because she has some insecurities. And my mom is more along the lines of pointing out women to her husband and talking about threesomes. Then my mom announced she was pregnant at my fiancé's graduation party, obviously on purpose. My fiancé was like, "How are you having a kid? Aren't you 50? Which pissed my mom off because she's 38 and looks a good 10 years younger. So she asked her loudly about if she had gotten a job in the industry yet, knowing she hadn't. Now my mom is bragging about how we have no power over her because she doesn't need our kids because of the baby, and my fiancé feels like my mom is trying to act like it is some do-over family and called her out. Next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for not paying 50% of the rent? I moved in with my boyfriend 4 months ago, and we agreed that I would pay half of the rent and utilities. I'm not on the lease, and the utilities are in my boyfriend's name. We have a 2-bedroom apartment. The second bedroom used as a combo home office for me and music studio for him. Then 3 weeks ago, his brother moved in. I came home from a weekend trip with my sister and found him there. No discussion beforehand. I was pissed. My boyfriend swore it was for a week at most until his brother moved in with a friend. So I spent a week on the living room couch. Well, to no one's surprise, that didn't happen. The friend decided he didn't want the brother to move in, given that the brother doesn't work, doesn't clean up after himself, and is a general jerk. Even my boyfriend admits this about his brother. So I can't say I blame the friend. My boyfriend says he can't kick his brother out when he has no place to go, and begged me to give him a couple of months as I had started packing my things. I reluctantly agreed, and boyfriend ends up moving my desk into the living room, where I have no privacy while I work at his music stuff, into a corner of the bedroom, where we are basically tripping over it so his brother can have a bedroom. I told boyfriend he has 2 months to get his brother out, or I would move out. It gets to the time of the month for me to send money to my boyfriend for bills. I send him 25% of the rent and 33% of the utilities instead of 50% for both. And boyfriend is upset, saying that is not what we agreed on. I told him I also don't agree to live with his brother, and I'm just paying what I feel is fair given that. My thinking is that every apartment I have shared, you pay rent by bedroom and utilities by person. Boyfriend starts freaking out, saying that he can't afford that, and that I agreed to his brother staying. I told him that I agreed to not move out. I did not agree to financially support his brother. He told me that I can't just change our agreement, and I pointed out that he had when he added a third person to the apartment. Boyfriend insists he doesn't have enough money to pay that much, as he's short on money and his old roommates moving out is one of the big reasons I moved in. Boyfriend says that he will end up having to not pay something, and that it will kill his credit when he has been working on rebuilding. He tells me that he is already short because he is having to spend more money on groceries with his brother there, as I flatly refuse to pay for more groceries. Still, I refuse to budge. Boyfriend insists that I'm trying to hurt him financially because I'm angry with him and being petty. I am angry, and I know that I can make bad decisions when I'm mad. However, thinking about it, I don't think I should have to support his brother. Living with 2 other people should cost less than living with 1 other person. However, I am doubting my own judgment. Am I being petty out of anger? Am I the a-hole for not paying 50% of the rent? Edit. This has come up many times. Why didn't I tell boyfriend ahead of time that I wasn't going to pay 50% as normal? The answer is that I never thought about money until I went to transfer him money for the monthly bills. That was the first time I realized that I would be financially supporting the brother if I kept paying 50%, and I decided I wasn't going to do it. Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. As you say, boyfriend changed the rules without asking you. And you were getting less use out of the apartment because you no longer have a home office in a separate room. You have no privacy in the living room when you are working. Your bedroom is cluttered with the music stuff. You have an extra person using the bathroom, taking showers, etc. In every way possible, your enjoyment of your living space has been reduced. Thank you. That is my reasoning as well. It's not just that, OP. Your boyfriend was only able to afford to move his brother in because you were paying for half. Your boyfriend would not, otherwise, have been able to support his brother entirely. So basically, what he's doing is forcing you to support his brother because he can't himself. I think you need to move out, because this is a much deeper problem than just being blind because of family. Your boyfriend has bad credit and is rebuilding, and yet he allows his brother to stay without contributing? And I understand why he has bad credit. He is incapable of making good financial decisions. And is fighting with you over how much you pay for his brother instead of fighting with his a-hole brother over not paying, / not getting a job at a time when jobs are going begging? OP, if you stay with this dude, his family will be your responsibility for life. Not to mention your boyfriend's poor financial decisions. Reconsider. Not the a-hole. That is what I finally realized when I started to transfer money to boyfriend, which is why I changed the amounts to 25% and 33% instead of 50%. I won't let this happen long term. When I said I would move out if the brother didn't leave in 2 months, not 6 weeks, I meant it. Darling, move out now. No, you're not the a-hole. Your boyfriend is forcing you to support his brother. Everywhere is hiring. This is immature bullcrap. Seriously, get out. That's the key. Opie needs to just move. Opie seems capable if she was packing at first. But the boyfriend is both inconsiderate and disrespectful. You don't move extra people in on your girlfriend or roommates. Literally everywhere is hiring. Even if he has to work retail or fast food for a bit, it's something to get back on his feet. Not the a-hole. You breached your agreement the moment to let his brother stay there without even consulting you. Why doesn't brother get a job? There are tons of places hiring, and he can just get his lazy butt out and find one. Because he is lazy. There is nothing physically wrong with him, but he is the youngest child and spoiled rotten. He honestly believes manual labor is beneath him, and he doesn't have the skills to get non-manual jobs. When even his parents got tired of his BS and kicked him out if he didn't get a job, he started couch surfing. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for wanting my boyfriend to come support me at the hospital and then being upset that he didn't? I, 26 female, am currently almost 15 weeks pregnant. Just under 3 weeks ago, I started bleeding fairly heavily while at work and had to go to the ER. I drove myself and called my 24 male boyfriend over and over on the drive to the hospital. It took about 7 calls before he answered because he was playing a video game with his friends. I asked if I could pick him up because our apartment is on the way, but he told me to go straight to the hospital, so I did. Once he got there, I had to stay for a few hours. Our boss, we work at the same place, was worried and called me to check on me and ask if he wanted her to go pick him up and bring him to me. I called him and asked, but he said no because he didn't want to make her do that. I told him she was offering, but he still said no. He stayed on the phone with me for a little bit, but was still playing with his friends and was pretty distracted. My phone ended up dying, and I spent the last 2 hours there alone, terrified I was losing my baby, and being told to stop crying by the nurses because I was going to stress baby out. When they finally discharged me, I had to drive myself home. When I got home, I told him I was upset that he left me alone with no support like that. He argued that he didn't have a way there. I reminded him about our boss offering, and that's when he told me that I was ignoring his fear of hospitals and doctors, and it was unfair that I expected him to just get over it to come sit with me. Then he said the next time he sees a big spider, he's going to push me to it and tell me to get over it. Part of me thinks he should have been there for me and our child, but part of me feels like maybe he's right and I was being inconsiderate of his feelings. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. Just be aware he will not change once baby is born. You're gonna be in for a whole lot more poor behavior on his part. He'll be off playing Monster Hunter while she's in labor. Irrelevant, but that was actually the game he was playing while I was in the ER. Monster Hunter literally almost ruined my, very new, marriage. My husband plays tons of video games, but for some reason, that was the one that caused me to stop existing. Husband is not allowed to get the new one, and quite frankly doesn't want it because of that. This is horrific and so sad. The last part about a spider really shows his character. Honestly, he sounds absolutely horrible, and a bad person to be around whilst pregnant. I think you should leave him. Am I the a-hole for agreeing to walk my sister down the aisle? When I was 14, my mother died giving birth to my now 20-year-old sister, Elise. My father blamed Elle and started excessively drinking. At 14, I basically became the main caretaker of my 3 siblings. My aunt and a few family friends were able to help out, but the most they could do was bring us groceries and handle inheritance. For the next 4 years, I paid a babysitter for when I was at school and took care of my siblings for the rest of the day. When I graduated high school, I decided against college and immediately took up a part-time job. My dad was almost never in the picture. He fell into a heavy depression and almost died of overdose 3 times. I knew he wanted to be involved. I tried to help him as much as I could, but it hurts to watch. When Elise was around a year old, she started learning to talk and started non-stop calling me Dada, and it broke my heart in so many ways. I tried to get her to stop at first, but eventually I stopped. I reasoned that if she saw me as her dad, then I was doing something right. When I was 19, my dad overheard me helping Elise with her reading and she called me her dad. He blew up in both of us. That I was trying to take his place and she doesn't deserve to be a part of this family after she killed her mom. I decided right then and there that I was done trying with him, and used my inheritance and my aunt's help to move me and my siblings out into a small apartment. It was so sudden I guess it snapped him into reality. It's been over a decade since then and he's now gotten sober. A few years ago, he decided he wanted to form a bond with Elise. She was hesitant, but agreed. Elise is now engaged and is in the middle of planning her wedding. We've always been very close, so I knew I'd at least give a speech. But when she approached me to ask if I'd be the one to walk her down the aisle, I was overjoyed. I was at a planning dinner last night when I joked that I need a nicer suit now that I'd be on the aisle. Everyone laughed, but my dad just looked confused. He asked what I meant. When Elise cut in and explained that she wanted me to walk her down the aisle, since it felt right because I always walked her to school every day her entire life. Aunt and my other siblings thought it was sweet, but my dad and grandma pulled me aside later to tell me that they understood where Elise was coming from, and they didn't blame her, but I should have rejected the offer because it's traditionally a fatherly role, and I know how hard my dad has been working to be a good father to Elise. I told them I'd think about it. A few days have passed, and my grandma and some family friends have called me every day telling me I'd be the a-hole to take this away from my dad. Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. Tell your dad and grandma that, traditionally, a man accepts responsibility for their children and doesn't blame them for things out of their control. Traditionally, men don't become alcoholics and force children to become parents. Tell them that, traditionally, it falls on the person whom the bride wants. I forgot to add OP, you are an amazing person, and you should definitely walk down your daughter on her special day. Family isn't just biological. It's who you choose. This. Print this out and hand it to them. Not stay home. He never was a father to her. They already explained themselves. It's a fatherly role, which she did for her entire life while he was a drunk loser hating her. Not stay home. Where the heck was grandma and these family friends when dad was living at the bottom of the bottle while you raised your sister? It is your sister's day and her decision. She chose you and you should honor her wishes. It's not on you to help whitewash your father's horrible parenting or his emotional mistreatment after your mom died. Exactly. Dad shouldn't get that honor when he blamed an innocent child for something that wasn't her fault. Opie pretty much was the parent from the get-go. Not the least that his father lost his wife, but Opie lost his mother at 14. He stepped the heck up when his father couldn't. He deserves to walk his sister down the aisle, and she deserves to have him walk her. Not stay home. Blaming a child for the death of their mother in childbirth is seriously abusive. The people with their ridiculous opinion that your dad is owed a walk down the aisle took no action to the point where a 19-year-old had to set up a household to keep his siblings safe. That they are getting involved now to protect the interest of the abuser shows they are terrible people. A few years ago, your father decided he wanted to form a bond with your sister? No, that's your call at this point. He doesn't get to just decide he is ready. He was awful her entire childhood, and now his wants are irrelevant. He does not get to have any expectation beyond what your sister is willing to allow. He should be down on his knees thanking her for any chance she is willing to give him. In fact, if you allow a selfish, entitled man to walk your sister down the aisle to be given priority over what your sister wants, you would be the a-hole. Your father may not be drinking, but he is still prioritizing his needs over those of your sister without any concern about her emotional well-being. Her wedding should be a day of joy for her. Her focus should be on starting a new life with someone that she loves, and who loves and respects her. She should not be dreading walking down the aisle on the arm of someone who makes her feel like an unwelcome murderer for years, instead of sharing the moment with someone who loved and supported her. Next story. Am I the a-hole for how I reacted to my niece saying her dream job was to be a trophy wife like me? My niece is 17, so she started thinking about her career/university. Yesterday, the family was asking her if she had decided what she wanted to do with her life. She told them her dream job was the same job as my job. Everyone assumed she meant she wanted to work in marketing because that's what I'm currently doing. My niece said that's not what she wants to do, and she wanted to be a trophy wife. Admittedly, this is a sore spot for me, because a lot of my extended family went from treating me like someone who had worked hard to get to where I currently am, to a glorified trophy wife the second I got married. My parents did call her out for what she said, but my niece said her dad said that's what I was. I got annoyed, and I ended up calling my brother-in-law a prick and telling my niece I didn't think it was a realistic dream for her. My sister is upset with me for what I said to my niece and claims that her husband was only joking. Am I the a-hole? Not stay home. Let's face it, your sister is upset because she and her husband got caught bad-mouthing you and are covering their embarrassment by getting mad at you. What they should be doing is apologizing to you for talking crap about you behind your back. As far as what you told your niece and your brother-in-law, it was entirely appropriate. What did your sister expect you to say? That they were correct and what they said was fine? Her husband was not joking. I was just joking is the mating call of the a-hole when they get caught. Yeah, this is a total Darvo situation happening here. 17 is old enough to know when you're being absolutely rude as hell. Not stay home. I was thinking this. A little kid just parrots stuff, but a 17-year-old has enough awareness to know trophy wife equals second marriage to a bimbo equals good to look at. Dumb but generally harmless woman. I think a lot of teens don't know what they want, so they see someone who marries up financially as a good idea. But I would think they would say I want to marry a rich guy, not to be a trophy wife. I definitely knew girls in high school who were unashamed to admit that their life goal was to become a trophy wife. Genuinely proud to aim for nothing other than marrying a guy with money for them to spend. I can't imagine being content with being a leech. Not stay home, and I would have been sorely tempted to say, "Oh no, honey, you have to be pretty for that." But that would not have been a kind or mature thing to say. That is pretty much what she did say. I don't think that's a realistic dream for you. If niece was in her 20s, I'd say it would be fine to use that as a retort. But since niece is only 17, it is likely just repeating what her parents say. That might be a bit too harsh. Next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for calling the police on my brother for taking my car? I, male 16, have a brother, male 28, who still doesn't have a car or job. He lives with me, my mom, and dad. I got my permit, took my driving test, and got my license this year. My brother actually knows how to drive and used to use my mom's car, but after getting into an accident with it, she took his privileges away. Ever since I got my license, he's been begging me to use my car and I always say no. The reason I don't want him to use it is because I don't want him to crash it. Also, it belongs to me, and I don't want anyone else using it. About 2 weeks ago, he asked me if he could take my car to go pick his friends up. I told him no. My brother has anger issues and can be scary at times, and he started yelling and swearing at me. I was scared, but still said no. Fast forward to the next morning, I saw my car keys missing. I immediately called my brother and asked him. He said yes, he took it and that he promises he'll bring it back to mint condition. I told him I don't care, and I just don't want anyone else using my car in general. After I hung up with him, I thought about calling my mom and dad, but I was furious. I let my anger and frustration get the best of me and called the cops. I told the cops what happened and gave them my license plate, plus where my brother was at, and his friend's address. They arrested him and brought him to the local police station, and my mom had to come pick him up. My mom was pissed and yelled at me when she got home and took my car keys for the time being. My dad was upset too when he got home. They said I was crazy for calling the cops on my own brother and I could have sent him to jail. I don't feel bad and I hope he learned his lesson. Am I the a-hole? Excellent. With his anger issues, he needs to know you'll call the cops on him. You likely just made all of your lives safer from his anger or stealing. You need to save money your parents or brother can't find or know about, so you can get out of there as soon as possible. Not stay home. Not stay home. And bravo, kid. You are a superior boundary setter. Sounds like you need to be that with your family. Well done. No, you wouldn't have sent your brother to jail. He would have done that all to himself by stealing. Surprise, surprise, that's a crime. You're not a-hole and shame on your parents for defending your brother's deplorable, entitled behavior. I'm sorry that your family sucks. They're enablers, aka really bad parents. The man is 28 for heaven's sake. And the mom stopped letting him use her car because the brother wrecked it. So Opie's supposed to just suck it up if that happens to his car? Why? Because it's not his car. That's why the brother wasn't charged. The OP has no legal standing to charge him with theft. He should have called the car's legal owner, their parents. Something he even admit to but didn't because he was angry. Not stay home. He threatened you and then when that didn't work, he stole from you. And you treated him like a thief who threatened you. You had to do what you had to do to protect yourself and establish your boundaries. How have things been since those 2 weeks? Do you feel threatened by him or your parents? The house felt tense for the first couple of days, but my parents seemed to be letting it go. I still don't have my keys back though, and I'm scared to ask them. My brother only speaks to me when he has to. Like I said, he's kind of scary, so I've been feeling on edge. I don't think he'll do anything though, but he definitely let me have it when he came back home with my mom that day. Last story is titled, Am I the a-hole for interrogating my wife after she hid her extra income? Me, 33, and my wife, 28, are married for 7 years. We have 2 kids, 4 female and 2 female. My wife is a stay-at-home mom after our first daughter, as there were lots of complications with her pregnancy. I make just enough money and my income goes to joint bank account and my wife makes the budget. Our house is my wife's grandma's that was built in 80s, so we're redoing it little by little and money is always tight, but we make it work. After our second daughter, my wife doesn't have complications anymore. Even the problems from first pregnancy went away. So we're doing better financially for the past year and has started a college fund for the kids. My wife started a vegetable and fruits farm in our yard and roof and is extremely good at it. She made a lot of money out of it. And to the issue now, a few days ago, I woke up early one morning and saw my wife putting the little one in the stroller and leaving. I tried to call her, but she couldn't hear me. After she left, I opened a tab to see her location, but she left her phone at home and there was no way of contacting her. I saw a message from the bank about a deposit in her account, which I didn't know she had. She came back around 7, which is when I usually wake up. But what struck me wrong was she came in through the back door and told me she was in the backyard. I started asking her why she was lying, and that I saw her leaving the house at 4 in the morning. And what is that extra money she deposited in her account? She denied it, and we had some back and forth, and I was getting late for work, so I left. When I came back, she acted like nothing happened, and I started asking her a question about where she went again. She got angry and told me I'm an a-hole for interrogating her, and she doesn't have to tell me about her whereabouts. I was shocked, as this is the first time I've ever heard her talk like this. Or raised her voice. Even the kids were shocked. I didn't say anything afterwards, and she's still angry and hasn't talked to me. Am I the a-hole for questioning her? Now for the comments. I'm going with not the a-hole because if my partner suddenly started acting like that, I'd be suspicious too, and I'd ask for answers. However, I want to suggest something you might not have thought of. As a woman, I was taught to have a separate bank account for my partner, which held emergency funds. This account should be kept secret and the amount should not be disclosed to the partner. This is because historically, a lot of women have stayed in bad, even dangerous, situation because they were financially dependent on their partner. Women have died in situations like this. So many women are taught to have secret emergency funds. If this is the case for your wife, please try to understand that this isn't about you. It doesn't mean she thinks you'd hurt her or leave her, and it doesn't mean she plans on leaving you. But there's a sense of safety and security that comes with knowing you have an escape route, if, God forbid, it's ever needed. Again, I have no idea if that's the case with your wife. But it might be, and in that case, I wouldn't ask any more questions. Just let her have her safety net, even if you don't think she needs one. I was taught the same. My husband was not happy about it until I told him how much I had saved. This account is at least 20 years old now, and we've bought cars, a house, and done renovations from my money. I don't care about the account. I'd be more worried about her taking your kid out at 4 a.m. and not telling you where she is taking the kid. That is a red flag to me. We always discuss our children and where we take them. This is what is really bugging me. Where the hell are you taking a toddler at 4 a.m. when the other parent doesn't know? If my kids wouldn't sleep, I would at least leave a note. Sometimes I would lie about going to a fancy coffee because I wouldn't get their father one, but that is my treat for being up and letting him nap. Honestly, not stay home. You're asking legit questions, and she's lying to you. It's not like it's an unfounded accusations. You saw her do it. Yeah, but it looks like she doesn't want to answer. My doubt is should I have left it at that instead of pushing? No, you don't do what she did to your spouse. If it was nothing, she would have answered. You might want to hire a PI and find out. The fact that she hasn't talked to you in days is even more troubling.